Well, okay. Good morning, you guys. I am here with Cary Fardal from HealthyU Nutrition. We are going to chat about all things food and health. How do we stay making healthy choices while still on budget? Do you have to compromise one or the other? And the answer is no, you can do both. But we want to talk about that more today. So Cary, thank you for being here with me.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what is eating healthy to you? What is health to you? I know you have a perspective, right, on this that we share, kind of like-minded. So tell me what that looks like for you.
For me personally?
Yeah.
Or just, yeah. So for me personally, it's staying active. So either getting 10,000 steps a day or just movement, whether it's in the gym, whether it's gardening, whether it's, cleaning my house, doing stuff like that. And then, I guess I'd say being mindful about my meals, because it's not that I eat perfect 100% of the time. I have pizza, I go to the food carts, have the occasional meal that would not be perceived, I think, as society by healthy, but finding ways to fit that in because I enjoy, pizza from time to time. So as long as I'm eating, I'm not going to lie, I don't eat 5 servings of vegetables a day, but as long as I get 2 to 3 in, some lean protein, not always from meat sources, and eating, at least 3 meals a day, for me, I consider that healthy because that supports my physical goals as well as my mental and my, I guess my health goals of not getting old.
Yeah. Anti-aging over here. Okay. And yeah. Yes, anti-aging. Okay. And you guys, Cary's background. So health. So I needed you to hear from her perspective, right? That health is not eating, right? It is individualized, right? It's intentional, and there are normal things, right? That can package up in kind of a healthy diet. You heard her. She said pizza, and she said all
pizza's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about your background, Cary. Tell us about health and nutrition. Tell us about what you do as a personal trainer, as a nutrition coach. You have got experience bringing to the table.
Yeah. So I grew up fairly active, definitely struggled with my weight, which is why I, as a teenager and a young adult, which is what kind of led me into nutrition. And then I was a ski patroller, so I really had this grand idea of becoming a sports nutritionist. So went to school and have a degree in nutrition science and food service management. Became a registered dietitian by doing my internship. And at that time, after having kids and realizing that to be really a good sports nutritionist, to work with the really high level athletes, that was going to require a master's, if not a PhD. And that was not in the cards for me at that time. So I graduated at a time when the economy was dramatically tanking, right about 2008. I think those of us in the adult world remember that time. So I ended up getting a job at the Oregon State Hospital, which is actually one of the most fabulous experiences for me because I was able to play a lot of roles as a dietitian. I worked with individuals one-on-one on, chronic health conditions, weight management. Also got to develop curriculum to teach in group classes and then taught those group classes, which I really enjoy. Worked on menu management with the food service team. So not only trying to find ways to offer really healthy diet, but also one that people enjoyed. And when you're trying to cater to about 500-600 people with a very limited menu and budget, we were doing the best we could to make sure that it wasn't just this bland institutional diet, because that really can impact people's recovery and health, physical and mental health. So I got to play all of those roles, which was really cool, and really helped me get a good broad experience and work with people who are on limited budgets, who do have limited access to food, and the finances to be able to eat healthy. And that experience, and the only reason I left the state hospital is because I was driving to Salem 4 days a week. And I live up in the Portland area, Happy Valley, and that was 2 hours almost minimum a day of commuting. And that did not actually support my health goals or quality of life. So I ended up getting a new job at the Oregon Food Bank, helping run their statewide nutrition education program. So I got to do a lot of, again, curriculum work with nutrition education, help support nutrition classes, teaching people not only how to eat healthier, but help them develop the cooking skills they needed to eat healthier. Because that's one of the things that we find in our society now, is that people are striving to be more healthy and doing the things that it takes to be more healthy, but not having the basic cooking skills to really follow that through. Because it is challenging to eat on a budget and eat healthy when you are constantly essentially eating out in some way. So that's actually what led me to start HealthyU Nutrition as not only a one-on-one individual nutrition counseling services, offering that, which I missed. I was not getting that at the Oregon Food Bank at all, so I really missed that. But the time that I spent doing supporting the nutrition education program, there was another dietitian that worked with one of our partner agencies that was doing this pilot class of basically the cooking program that we did, only for people on kidney dialysis. Like their kidneys were already no longer working and they were on dialysis. And during that pilot program, what I heard from the folks that attended was we wish that there was a class like this for us before our kidneys had failed. I wish there was a class like this when I only had diabetes or I only had hypertension, because maybe I could have stopped the progression into kidney disease. Or some of the people, they had other reasons why they had kidney failure. And they're like, I wish I would have had this when I first found out, because if I had known all these things, maybe I could have prolonged the need for dialysis. And there's just not a lot of programs or support out there for people with chronic health conditions that goes beyond just, this is what you should be doing, versus the teaching the actual skills of how to do it. So that was why I started HealthyU as a nonprofit, because our goal is ultimately to offer those 4 to 6 week, classes. It'd be only one class a week, but 4 to 6 session classes to not only, again, teach people about the nutrition, but also teach the basic cooking skills that they need to actually implement that at home, and doing it for free, so that there's no financial barriers for anybody to be able to participate. So yeah, that's what we do at HealthyU Nutrition. The individual one-on-one counseling, taking either health insurance or out of pocket. We do take some of that money and support the nutrition education program that we're still developing, because I started in 2019, was just kind of getting the ball rolling. And then this little thing called COVID-19 happened. And all of a sudden we weren't allowed to be in groups, and to try to take this community program where not only are we teaching the skills and teaching the education, but part of it is bringing people together for that community support, that learning from each other. Because I think most people agree, especially as adults, to sit in a classroom and try to listen to an instructor talk at you for 2 hours is not the best way to learn. So the intention is that it's more of a facilitated dialogue. So asking questions, allowing people to answer and share their knowledge first, and then following up with either correcting information or adding on information, so that it's just more engaging and interactive. So really the goal is by the end of this year to get that going, since it feels like it's now safe to bring people together in a classroom and cook together and work together. So yeah, that's kind of my background, and then where I'm at and why HealthyU exists now.
Yes, I love it. I love your mission field, really. Like you're just out there, and the education, like you said, is so needed. You guys, it totally correlates to what I'm doing with finance, right? We talk fitness and finance and health, all the things all the time, right?
Yeah.
But what you said, we are told what we should do, right? But there's very little come side by side with me and teach me how to implement, right? And how to do that, right? So that's where you're doing it in this health space. I'm doing it in the finance space, and we're just doing it together. Okay.
Doing it together. Well, it's kind of like, and I guess that's the piece where it's the personal training piece, because that's one of the things that I do just because it brings me joy. It makes me happy to work with people and tie that in. But I mean, that's what you get out of a personal trainer.
Right.
You don't just go on YouTube or Instagram and find the most, the best looking fitness guru, whatever out there that you really like their little swipe videos and just try to follow and mimic them. You're getting that hands-on, that support, that guidance, the tweak this right here a little bit, and you're going to get a better result out of the movement that you're doing. You're going to get pushed. You're going to get challenged. Mm-hmm. How many people stop at 5 push-ups because it's starting to get uncomfortable, when the reality is you could do 10 to 15, and it's uncomfortable, but that's how you get stronger. And all of a sudden 10 isn't uncomfortable, 15 isn't uncomfortable, and now you can do 20 push-ups on your toes. Yeah. Just because somebody supported you and pushed you and guided you into why you need to push past that slight level of discomfort.
Yeah. The accountability component is so big. And then also the awareness that you have around your abilities. We do limit ourselves, right? I can't learn that. I can't do that. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too whatever, right? We come up with every single excuse in the book. But when you have somebody that is there to coach you and guide you, right, they understand your capabilities sometimes even more than you do. So pushing out there. Okay. We have to talk about keeping our food healthy while also like not busting the budget. Can we talk about coffee first? Like,
absolutely.
Let's talk about coffee. Okay. Tips for how to keep a healthy drink, making it at home and or like ordering out, because like I get it. Like Starbucks, this is monopoly, right, on all the coffees. How do we keep it lower cost and also healthy at the same time?
Lower cost, healthy at the same time. Grinding your own beans. Mm-hmm. One way is, just, the more work we do as individuals, the more we're going to save money. At the same time, we all have to find that balance, because obviously we're not going to, grow the coffee beans. So I think what's important with all of this is finding the balance between time and finances. Mm-hmm. And how can we blend those together? Mm-hmm. So if you have the time, take it. And if you don't, these are some of the things that, yes, you can do. And I guess it just depends on how you like your coffee. If you want your coffee cheapest, black coffee, right. You get the caffeine, but if that's not your bag, because I will never drink black coffee, just can't do it. Not going there. I started out, the only reason I started drinking coffee was because of Dutch Brothers. And so to try to go from Dutch Brothers to black coffee, that doesn't exist, I don't think. So what are some great ways to keep it inexpensive? Not buying the fancy coffee creamers, mm-hmm. And healthy. Mm-hmm. So using like a 1% milk, using a non-fat, an unsweetened flavored almond milk, mm-hmm. Adding a little bit of cinnamon versus sugar. So if you add a little bit of like real cinnamon to your coffee, you can actually cut out some of that bitter taste, enhance some of the sweetness without adding the calories or the sugar. One of the things I do, and it's not the least expensive, but I don't really use that much, is a chocolate collagen powder. And I don't even use like the 2 scoops. I just use enough to get that little bit of a flavor. And I am getting some calories there, but what I'm getting is protein. Yeah. And that protein, and despite the fact it's not a complete protein, but it does offer quite a bit of the amino acids that our body benefits from. So now I can add that flavor, not getting a whole lot of added sugars, because they use like an artificial sweetener. And then I'm adding some protein to my coffee with a little bit of, for me personally, I use just a little bit of 2% milk. You can use a 1% milk. The little bit of fat is actually not that big of a deal, but you're also getting a little bit of calcium, and you are getting more protein in that milk. If you really need to cut the calories down just because you're a little bit more restricted of a diet, that's where that unsweetened like almond milk comes in great, because you put 2 tablespoons in and you're getting like 10 calories, if that. but then you get that little splash, that little cream, that little flavor. When it comes to the Starbucks and the fancier coffees, cost wise, and then health wise, rather than doing like an espresso, like Starbucks has a cafe misto, I believe is what it's called. And what they do is it's half just regular coffee, and then they are using some steamed milk. And what you get there is the fact that you're now filling up the coffee cup with more coffee, which has no calories, because they are using more coffee versus 2 shots of espresso isn't very much volume. The rest of it's milk. And now, while milk is healthy and it's good for you, there's nothing wrong with 8 ounces of milk. But if you get a 16-ounce grande latte with 2 shots of espresso, you're getting closer to like 12 ounces of milk, I believe, if not more. And then what are we putting into it? How much sweetener is in there? So I've always been the type to ask for half the pumps, if not just 1 pump. You can ask to specialize it. Like I only need 1 pump of vanilla. That gives you a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of flavor. They're usually about 35 calories per pump. It might be up to 50, but I think their standard go-to for a grande is 4.
Right. So
it's a lot of, so sweet. And if you have a sweet tooth and that's hard, where we start is go from 4 pumps to 3, then go from 3 pumps to 2, then down to 1. Or if you can tolerate some of the artificial sweeteners, and some people it's just a no-go, they just don't like the flavor, and that's fine. But maybe doing half of the 1 pump of a syrup plus 1 artificial sweetener, adding that extra little bit of flavor. And again, Starbucks has cinnamon and some of those little powdered toppers that you could add a little bit more flavor with fewer calories, like dark cocoa. Putting in some dark cocoa and some cinnamon will add some flavor, cut out the bitterness, really no calories.
Yeah. Okay. That's so good. I had no idea about this cafe misto business.
And you can probably ask for that anywhere. Like, can I just do half black coffee, half steamed milk? Same amount of caffeine or close. Right. But then you're getting less overall calories from the milk. And then obviously if their go-to is whole milk, ask for 2%, ask for 1%, ask for non-fat. And you can do the same thing. If you're used to the 2% or the whole milk, bump down to 2%, saves a lot of calories. Once you get used to that, if you can try the 1% and that becomes tolerable, now you've just kind of weaned yourself in that direction without having to make this hard, dramatic change that takes away from, some of the joy of drinking coffee in the morning.
Yes. And I think the other thing too, like if going out for coffee is part of your jam, right? It's in your budget, right? Then do that. Like, don't deprive yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to drink coffee at home all the time or, go make your own cold brew. Cause I've not been successful with that yet, but it's okay to treat yourself, right? It's okay to plan for that. Like that's just it. Like make a little plan, like do some modifications. It can still be a treat. It can still be, taste delicious or whatever. And it doesn't have to bust the bank. My daughter and I have been going to coffee on Wednesdays, usually when she's in school, and she's 12. She wants all the sugary things. She also wants the largest drink that there is because it looks cool. I mean, I don't know. So we totally customize at Starbucks. So she wants a grande pink thing, or I don't even know what it is, and put it into a venti cup with extra ice. They don't charge you more, right? Yeah. There's a little bit more fluid, right? That's in there, whatever. But it doesn't have to cost her anymore. But it's a $5 easy, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. Oh, Starbucks can be like hugely expensive, or any of the coffee places. I mean, it's just it gets expensive, and it's worth it. I mean, again, it's especially if it is that treat. So planning ahead is a great way to be mindful of your budget, knowing that it's on Wednesdays, I have this much carved out to do this thing, and it's a special mom-daughter time. Right. And that's priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about time, and you're totally right. Like the time and the money thing, we will give up more money to have more time. Sometimes if we have less money, we will use more of our time in order to do that. Right there. It's a trade-off. Right. It's all just a trade-off. But it does not take a ton of time to make coffee at home. Like we just have to call that out. Like,
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be one of those things. Like, how many people can get in and out of Starbucks in less than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
How long does it take to use a Keurig? And I'm not a fan of the Keurig because I think that they're really, I mean, it's not that they don't make good coffee, but I find that that's a really expensive way to make coffee. The machine is expensive. The little pods are expensive.
Right.
I had a friend who had one, and what we did there is you can get those reusable little things for the Keurig, and they were not that difficult to grind it up and put the coffee in there and clean it out really quick. It does take a little bit of time, but it still only took 5 minutes.
Right.
A whole lot faster than jumping into the car, even if you use the Starbucks app.
Yeah.
And plan ahead. I don't know if I've never gone to a Starbucks where they just have my coffee right there ready to go, not and there's not a long line unless it's the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But when I'm in a hurry and I've got to get to work or I've got to get somewhere, it's faster for me to make it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got one of those old school coffee pots now, which I'm sure I'm like the minority anymore between all the fancy little coffee machines that we've got out there. But mine's ready loaded the night before when I have time. So when I get up, I just turn it on, do some things, and 5 minutes later, my coffee is ready. It takes me 1 minute to prep it. And within 10 minutes of being awake, I have a cup of coffee and I'm getting on with my day.
Ready to go. Okay, guys, we covered the most important meal of the day. Now, coffee covered. Okay, take us to our staples, Cary. Like, take us to the grocery store.
Yeah.
What do you do to kind of manage costs and still eat healthy?
Manage costs. Well, it sounds like you've already addressed some of that. First things first, what do you already have? I mean, how often do we go to the store and buy things that we already have because we didn't take those 5-8 minutes to look and see what we have, what's available, what are the staples, and having a relative game plan for what you want to eat. One thing that has been successful for some people that I've worked with and in my life before is having a rough meal plan. I'm the type where, and this is one of the reasons why I don't tend to do meal plans so much unless, we're on the same page about lifestyle and behaviors. But, I don't always feel like tacos on Tuesday. I don't always feel like salmon on Friday. But I can come up with a couple of different things that I could do with ground turkey or ground beef on Tuesday. So if I'm not feeling tacos, maybe I'm feeling spaghetti, maybe I'm feeling meatloaf or something like that. So Tuesday could be like ground turkey, ground beef night. Wednesday can be, having that rough plan that you need chicken breast for Wednesday night, pull it out of the freezer if that's where it's at. So it's defrosted, saving you time. And then what you may or may not do with that, you can kind of come up based on how you're feeling for that day. So having that kind of general plan, then do I have chicken breast in the freezer? Nope, I don't. So now I need to get some. Do I have ground beef? Do I have ground turkey? So that's the best part, is having a plan, having a shopping list, and then trying to stick with that as best as possible at the store. That's how we save the most amount of money. Again, this comes down to time as well. Weekly ads, finding the stores that are going to have the best deal. And if you're in an area where you have access to a Fred Meyer, a Safeway, a Winco, a Costco, do you have time to maybe hit all of those best deals? Or do you just, pick the one store, take advantage of the deals that they have? And that's what I have some clients that will do that. They look at the ads on Sunday and they see what meat is on sale, what else is on sale, and then they build a plan for the week around that. Mm-hmm. So there's those little things just leading up into the going shopping. The other things to think about, I think, when shopping are economy of scale. Okay. And that desire to buy, maybe especially for produce, things that are not shelf stable. Tempted to buy the 5 pounds of broccoli because the price per pound is a lot cheaper than buying just 1 pound of broccoli. Will you use 5 pounds of broccoli before it goes bad? No. That is, it depends. Right. It depends. Yeah. I do major food prep typically, so I'll cook a couple of fresh meals a week, but my lifestyle doesn't necessarily allow me to cook every night. So yeah, I'll absolutely buy a 5 pound bag of broccoli because I'm going to make broccoli beef and I'm going to use all 5 pounds. If it's for fresh, then no, I may not even buy a pound, because food waste is huge and it is a huge cost and hit to our budget. So being realistic about how much you can actually use and spending more per pound to get what will actually be consumed. Because in the long run, 5 pounds at $1 a pound, you only get through a pound, you wasted $4.
Right.
At $2 a pound, you get through the pound, cost you half as much.
Yeah.
Unless you like to compost and you like really expensive compost.
I think that's like such a good perspective, is because we do like, and we talk about also, like, we are trying to get a good deal, right? And we want to make good on it, but considering the waste, sometimes, right, paying for something that is a little bit more expensive because you're buying less quantity of it. I think about that with like Costco too, right? A lot of that stuff is shelf stable, but going to Costco for fruits and veggies, like, it's almost, I don't do it anymore. I will buy berries, right? I buy very few things in the fresh because I just can't use them fast enough.
Yeah. And it just depends. Like Costco is actually where, because one of my staples is a broccoli beef recipe. That's when I go and buy their 5 pound, 3 pound bag of broccoli, because I'll use it all right then and there. Other than that, occasional asparagus, but yeah, I learned the same thing. You have to have a reason or a big enough family, or you just eat it that frequently. And the same would go for meat, buying those big family packs of meat. But if you don't either, repackage them and have the time and freeze some of it, again, if you're not going to use it all, but buying in larger bulk is a great way to save money as long as you have the space to store it. So meat is one of those things that I will buy kind of in bulk, especially when things are on sale. Right. It's like when one thing that I personally tend to use is ground turkey at the 99% lean. So it's only 1% fat. When it's on sale, I'll buy like 5 or 6 packages and try to budget for that, but I'm freezing most of them because it can get pretty expensive, and especially now. So if it's less than $5 a pound, that's when, which again, it's still pretty expensive. That's when I end up, buying multiple packages and freezing them. But some, talking about meat and just staying in this kind of realm for a moment, the ground beef, if you happen to be somebody who likes ground beef, weighing that, the price per pound based on the fat and the leanness content and what you actually get. So if you get an 80-20 ground beef, your total actual beef at the end is going to be less than if you got like a 97-3. Because there's a lot more fat, and especially if you like drain that fat off. If it's just you and that's worth it, then that might be a good option, and you can drain the fat off. So it's not like you're actually getting that much fat. It can be a lot leaner. Or again, if the stuff that's 93.7 is on sale, you're going to get more volume. I can't remember what the exact number is there, but you will get a little bit more volume, and again, can still drain that fat off. Buying it in the big bulk and portioning it up yourself into Ziploc bags, if you have those, and again, weighing the costs there too, because Ziploc bags cost something, but if you have them in the freezer size and they're not too expensive and you don't have to buy the Ziploc, you can get the store brand. Dividing it up yourself, again, it comes down to time. So if you have the time, you can then get 5 pounds of meat for a decent price. And if you have the freezer space to store it, if you don't have the freezer space to store it, then that's just a lot of expensive food going bad.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking about it does take a little time, right? We all eat, right? It's like, this is a thing that we all do. Like, nobody's getting out of like eating. But if we parcel out, if we budget, right, some of our time to be intentional about how we go about doing the grocery store shop or doing the post grocery store, packaging, and freezing or whatever, we can, right, be health conscious, right, about what we're doing, and it can still be budget conscious at the same time. It's just really increasing your intentionality.
Right. And yeah, absolutely. And then, especially when it comes in just staying in the realm of the meat, looking for the things that are on sale. Or looking for those things, especially if like you have like a free night or you're not really sure, like shopping day, you're not really sure what you're going to eat. Look for the meat that's been discounted because it needs to be sold today.
Yeah.
If you know, and that's a great way to save some money, but you just would want to cook that like right away or freeze that right away. But I always look there first sometimes just to see if there's a decent cut that I would enjoy, and would either freeze it right away or be able to cook it right then and there and then save some money. I'm real cautious personally about buying multiple of those and then freezing them, because my own personal experience is even if I do freeze them, they don't seem to last quite as long.
Okay.
So just something to be aware of. But again, you have to have that freezer space. And I guess just to play off of, since we've been talking about meat, since it's protein and with the health and fitness, and I'm sure Sarah, you're learning how important, we talked about this before and working with Krisha, the importance of protein in your diet when we have any kind of health goals, almost at all, whether your goal is to lose weight, build muscle, body composition change, endurance, athleticism. Protein is important. There's very few even chronic health conditions where we don't encourage people to eat more protein. And yes, there are some. So if you have chronic kidney disease, then you don't want to eat more, especially meat-based protein. Anyway, aside, so getting more protein in your diet is going to be really important based on whatever your goals are for the most part, but it doesn't have to come from meat. Plant-based proteins are less expensive, offer a lot of other health benefits outside of protein. So if we talk about, beans, whole grains, things like that, where we can get decent amount of protein, nuts, but we're also getting fiber. We're getting complex carbohydrates that take a lot longer for our body to digest, break down, absorb. So we feel fuller for longer. Fiber is really, really important for our intestinal health, offers a lot of health benefits as well. Plus we are getting, protein from that as well. So don't be afraid to do like beans and rice or beans and a quinoa type based meal, some flour tortillas or something, whatever it is, an Indian type based meal, depending on the seasoning that you want. Less expensive typically than doing a meat-based meal, and you're still getting your protein, plus you're getting fiber and a lot of other great nutrients that your body needs and will benefit from.
One of my favorite things, Cary, that you introduced me to was chickpea pasta. I've converted my entire family. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it, but that is all that we buy now. They don't know that they're getting protein, right? Yeah. It tastes pretty good. Like I don't miss a regular noodle at all. That's been a great way to get extra protein in our pasta dishes.
Yeah, a little bit more expensive than your regular white pasta. So that's definitely one of those balance things. But fortunately, Costco does carry a chickpea based pasta relatively frequently. Their brands kind of cycle, but they usually have it. Winco now carries some chickpea pastas because they had red lentil pasta there for a while, and that would be another great one. Chickpea, red lentil, green lentil, just depends on your taste preference. But yeah, those are great ways to swap out some things, so you're still getting your pasta. Calories are about the same. So it's not like you're saving calories, but you are getting more protein, you're getting more fiber, and likely to be more satisfied. So you're less likely to be hungry.
Right. Eat more of it, right?
Yeah, and eat more of it. Yeah, down the road. So I'm glad you brought that one up because that is one of my favorites. But again, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than your traditional white pasta. But so again, those are those balances that we have to find between our health and our food budget. And when it comes to things like beans and rice, there's various ways to work within the budget and work within time. So the least expensive way to incorporate more beans into your diet is going to be to buy them dry, rinse them. Either do the quick boil method where you boil them for like an hour or you soak them for an hour and then you boil them. I don't make beans from scratch very often, or like you soak them overnight. I know there's a process. There's a quick process, but it is time consuming versus say buying a can. So actually nothing wrong with the can of beans. I
Mm-hmm.
know for some people, again, health goal wise, the sodium content in canned beans can be a little high, but I don't know many people who make beans from scratch and don't add some sodium.
Right.
And a lot of times don't pay attention really to the amount. So some ways that you can actually buy canned beans and dramatically reduce the sodium so that it can fit into your health, if that is a concern for you, is draining and rinsing beans will actually reduce the sodium by 40 to 50%.
Wow.
So if a serving is like 200 milligrams, just drain the juice, rinse them, and now you're talking more about 100 milligrams. Fortunately, stores now don't charge more for no salt added or reduced sodium canned beans and vegetables. Used to drive me nuts, like I'd say 5-6 years ago, maybe even more than that. I can't remember, but I go into the store and I'm like, so you're not adding something, it's still canned, so it's shelf stable. The expiration date isn't any further out, and you're charging more for it because of the health perception.
Right.
I don't see that as much anymore. So just getting the reduced sodium or the no sodium added, and then adding seasoning to it, adding, garlic, onion powder, paprika, chili, like something that adds flavor without sodium is a great way to take advantage of shelf stable vegetables. A lot of people get surprised when they hear this, but frozen and canned vegetables tend to be more nutrient dense than fresh.
What?
And that's because it's harvested and canned or frozen within about 8 to 12 hours. The vegetables that are in the produce section have been harvested, sent to one place, packaged, or this package there, sent to one place, at least one warehouse, then from the warehouse to your individual stores, back storeroom, finally out onto the shelves. You finally buy it, minimum maybe 3 days, maybe 4. Then how long do we tend to leave fresh produce in our refrigerator before we actually get to it? So from the time it's harvested till the time you eat it, it's losing nutrients.
Wow, I had no idea.
So canned and frozen, there's nothing wrong with it. If it comes down to taste preference, totally get it. Yeah. But if you'll do some canned and some frozen vegetables, you save some money, shelf life. And if you're the type that only goes shopping like twice a month, that's why you don't have vegetables. If you have the freezer space, you have the shelf space. Don't be afraid of the can and the frozen. And then that's where, again, beautiful in Oregon summers now, farmers markets, those are a great place to get fresh vegetables. Those have been harvested within 24 hours, but and obviously you're not trying to get 3 weeks worth of vegetables from the farmers markets. So but yeah, that's don't be afraid of the canned stuff, and saves you money.
Totally. Okay. So I did not realize this at all. So I will now no longer be afraid of the canned or the frozen, but buying in season, right? This is also cost effective, right? So
yes. Yes.
Farmers market. If I try to buy strawberries in December, like they are very expensive and they go bad quickly. Right.
Yeah.
Versus
and they don't taste very good.
No,
they're not very flavorful. They're coming from Mexico.
Yeah. So versus buying in season. So obviously better health benefits for us and more cost effective, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Unless again, it's frozen.
Right.
Typically frozen strawberries cost about the same. But yeah, absolutely. Farmers markets in season is definitely going to be a lot less expensive. And obviously there's things that you can only get when they're in season. And that's honestly another great way. Like if you are going to the farmers market and you or the grocery store and you're getting that stuff on sale, doing your own preserving. Freezing your own strawberries, freezing your own raspberries, for your smoothies or whatever people do, or just to have fresh berries throughout the year. Being cautious about making your own jam, but if you really like jam throughout the year, you have more control over how much sugar goes into it if you're making your own. And again, it all takes time, but that's where for some people, if what I have found to be the most cost effective way for a lot of shopping is doing kind of that bulk shopping at, like, say, your Costco or your Winco once a month. Again, the time piece, and just taking that time to get a vast majority of your monthly shopping done, especially if you have the freezer space, you buy the big chunks of meat, come home, portion it all out. But then just doing short, quick trips for fresh produce, for those little things that you may need. And especially the produce piece each week. And that way food is less likely to go bad. Now you're saving a lot of time throughout the month, because you're not shopping like big shopping trips like 2-3 times or once a week. I know some people who do that. If it works for you, it works for you. But that, I think, is just looking at your lifestyle, looking at the time that you have, and trying to come up with a consistent process that you can really refine and save yourself that time and the money in the long run. It's like anything. A little bit of extra time and effort up front for the first month or two saves you so much time down the road.
Totally. Okay. Let's
the investment piece.
It's the investment. Okay. Let's go away from home and let's eat out.
Yes.
Are there better fast food choices? Talking about convenience, right time. Yes. Are there better some fast food choices for us? And any tips around like restaurant eating, anything that it's all going to be more expensive. We know that going in. But are there ways that we can make better, healthy choices while we're out and about?
Yeah. So this is one of those areas where sometimes I am willing to spend, get the bigger size, if I'm going to save it, leftovers. So healthy eating out. You can almost always find something relatively healthy at almost all fast food places. Ordering smaller servings, ordering the salad, getting the packet of dressing, but using half the packet, not the entire packet. Ordering like a chicken burger over hamburger, as long as it hasn't been breaded and deep fried. Something like that. As far as like kind of my go-to places, fast food, and especially in the Portland area, Panda Express. You can get chicken teriyaki, not super high in fat, not breaded, really high in protein. I always, again, this is because I'll turn it into 2, if not 3 meals. I'll get their bigger plate because you get 2 to 3 times as much food for not 2 to 3 times the cost. And you get 3 entrees. You can always ask, and they have fresh vegetables. So like you can watch them cooking all of their fresh food. That's one of the other reasons I like that place if I'm going to go there. But you can ask for like half steamed rice or half brown rice, avoiding the fried rice, avoiding the noodles, and then half super greens. So now you're getting some kale, some cabbage, some broccoli, some carrots, and it's freshly steamed. And then getting any of their lean, unbreaded meat dishes with more vegetables. So their broccoli beef, they have like a string bean chicken, they have a mushroom chicken, they have a lot of options where the sauces aren't super heavy, they're not breaded, they show the protein that you're getting with it, and then there's just even more vegetables available. But again, it's making that choice of half brown rice, half white rice, and the steamed vegetables, making the choice of not getting the deep fried kung pao chicken and getting the string bean chicken. So that's probably my favorite fast food place. Sandwich places can be okay. It's just, what size of bread are you using? Can you get a wrap instead of a big thick Subway, I don't want to pick on Subway, but a big sub bread thing, asking for extra meat there, or turning it again into a salad. Just to get, again, the vegetables and the protein, maybe then allowing yourself, the baked chips on the side for a little bit of carbs, but choosing the baked chips over the regular chips. And then, if you eat fast food like once a week and that's it,
right,
one time a week eating fast food is not going to blow your health goals.
Right.
The only people to be concerned again is if you have some sort of health condition that amount of sodium, that amount of fat could be problematic. But there's this great, I think, kind of concept of the 80-20. As long as 80% of the time the foods that you're eating fuel your health goals, support your, what you're trying to do, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, whole grains, then if 20 to 15% of your meals are less than ideal, typically that's not going to undo all of the hard work that other people have put in, or make you go from being a really healthy, lean, active individual to, unhealthy, overweight, with health conditions. It's the reverse. It's when we only eat healthy 20% of the time and 80% of the time it's fast food that becomes more problematic for health. So, and then, same for sit down restaurants, just looking for the lean cuts of meat that you can get. A lot of places will offer a grilled chicken burger over a hamburger. You can get a leaner cut of, say, steak, or cut the fat cap off. So a lot of steaks come with this big, thick thing of fat. You're not obligated to eat it. Maybe, and if you really like it, maybe a bite, but try not to eat the whole thing. And now you get the steak. And then budget wise, gosh, it's just expensive anymore. I took my kids to the food carts and it was $45 for 3 meals. So that just comes down to, is it in your budget, and how do you make that work with your budget, or picking a place that, has some reasonable options, going during like the happy hour, going a little bit earlier in the day. Oftentimes they will have the lunch menu. So if you can plan around that, the prices can be a little less expensive if you hit like lunchtime.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Yeah. And I think too, don't take away the fact that there are some social benefits, right? There are some other benefits that come from outings like that. Like you should absolutely bake fun into your budget. You should bake, restaurants, eating out in your budget, if that's something that's normal to you, because there are these other, you don't have to do the dishes, right? You don't have to do there are some other benefits, right, to all of those things. So balancing all that, I think is just so important. And I find like I've been, being more conscious of what I'm eating, and like for a hot minute, I was just like, gosh, I really want the whatever that is. But like when it comes down to it, like this other dish that's healthier for me, it still tastes good. I still didn't have to cook it. I still don't have to clean up after it. Right. I'm still making a good choice. I'm hanging out with the people that I want to hang out with. Right. You can still get, like 8 out of 10 of those other like things without having this, like the thing that you're craving, right? Whatever that is. Right.
Yeah. Or, and if it happens to be like family, friends, like really, really close, share dishes.
Right.
I mean, how often, most restaurants really give you a large portion size. So a couple ways to work around that too, to not overeat. Ask for the to-go box right away. Like, can you serve my meal with a to-go box? Or can you, once they serve it, hey, can you grab me a to-go box? A lot of the times, restaurant workers, unfortunately, are very overworked right now and understaffed. So being patient with them if they can't get it right away. But if you have that opportunity to take half of the dish and put it in a to-go box right away, you are less likely to overeat. Now you can have that indulgent meal that may not fit entirely into your health goals. But if you only eat half of it, that may fit into your health goals. Now you have another meal for later. Right. So now you've kind of justified that extra cost. Being cautious of the drinks that you're getting. Do you need a soda with your meal, or can you get away with water? Can you do a tea? Can you limit yourself to one cocktail and then drink a bunch of water after? Because, that's where it can get pretty spendy as well. So being cautious about that, because the sodas are not offering any real health benefit. So can you get a lightly sweetened tea, and now you're getting something aside from water, but not all the extra calories. So that those are some other ways that I always encourage people to, like, okay, you're going to go to McDonald's because that's your thing and that's your craving. But you went from doing the larges to, can you bump down to a medium? Can you swap out your regular Coke for a Diet Coke? And now you've saved a lot of calories, but you're not restricting yourself from something that you really, really want, which when we do that for a long period of time, we often are just like, nope, done. And then we overdo it when we finally give ourselves permission to do it. So finding that balance between giving yourself permission to do it, but can you pull back a little bit?
Right. Being flexible, like it's all about being flexible and sustainable. Cary, will you tell us how to get in touch with you if we want to learn more about HealthyU, those classes that you're going to be baking up for us in the future, personal training, nutrition coaching, one-on-one? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best way to do that is probably go to the website, www.healthyuwellness.org. There's a way to schedule a free phone or virtual consultation. So we just chat, talk a little bit about what your goals are, what you're looking to accomplish, make sure it's going to be a good fit, whether you might be able to use health insurance, because we can take several health insurance, and a lot of health insurance plans, talking about budgeting, talking about money that we already spend. A lot of people are surprised health insurance will cover nutrition services just for, general diet counseling and support. It's one of the tends to be proactive services for them. So they'll cover it with like either a very little copay or no copay at all. Doesn't always happen, but if you're already paying a premium, take advantage of your health insurance. And I have found for a lot of people, even with high deductibles, they may still cover it without the deductible being met. So it's worth at least looking into. And then I do try to offer like pretty reasonable out-of-pocket costs, again, just for making it accessible to everybody. And then it supports the program. So that's the best way to learn kind of about the services, where we might be able to do personal training if that is something that you're interested in. And then scheduling, again, that 25, 30-minute conversation by phone or virtually, so that we can get a better opportunity to just figure out what's going to be in everybody's best interest. So I'd say that's the easiest, best way.
Okay. And it's HealthyU, you the letter, not you the word.
Correct. So healthy. Yep.
Is it .org?
.org. Yep.
Okay.
Organization. Yep.
Okay. Cary, thank you for hanging with me this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Enjoy the sunshine.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon, and I'll get this over to you.
Thank you.